Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of My Bucket List Day. So today we're going to have a little change of plans. I had another video planned to release today, but I had a perfect opportunity of the location that I'm at, and with having to move spots at this campground, to kind of show you kind of the maintenance on the hydraulic slides. A few weeks ago I did maintenance on the Schwintek slides. So now we're going to do the hydraulic slides. And while we're at it, we're just going to kind of review the entire hydraulic system and give you a few tips and tricks on how to maintain it and keep it in good working order. And we're also going to talk about some other things about current hydraulic systems, at least from the Lippert system. That's the system that I've got here. Now most of them will operate the same way, so there shouldn't be too many differences. But before we jump into all that, let's watch this intro and I'll be right back. Alright, welcome back everybody. So there's just going to be a couple things that you're going to need to do the maintenance. So as we already covered before, you're going to have the 3-in-1 rubber sealant protector and conditioner. You saw me use that on the Schwintek slide maintenance. You also want to use this here. Now, as I mentioned in the last video about the slides, I already did all the seals of my slides, but I'm going to demonstrate that again and what you should do and how to do it. Very simple. Then also you're going to need the silicone heavy-duty spray that I also use in the Schwintek slides. And we're going to do this in a couple of strategic spots on the hydraulic slides as well. And then also just plain old-fashioned WD-40. There's a couple of spots we're going to spray that. And you're also going to use this on your leveling jacks or your level-up jacks that come from Lippert components. Again, if you have the level-ups or whatever hydraulic system you have on there, this will all be the same, the way you do the cleaning and the maintenance of things. And then we're going to talk again, as I mentioned, a little bit about the hydraulic system, how to maintain it, troubleshooting some things, as well as how you can shut off one slide over the other, at least on this system. Now, some people have different rigs than I've got, but the system pretty much works the same regardless of what type of slide system that you have or hydraulic system you have on your coach. So let's get right into it. All right everyone, here we are underneath the slide. Well, one of them. I've got two of them that we're going to be addressing today. But when you get under here, you're going to notice there's a like a little gear area where things go, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then the hydraulic rams, and that is the hydraulic part that slides the slider in and out. But let's go ahead and address that. Now, I have what is called a in-frame system. So the hydraulic motor and everything else and the ram is all really inside the frame. So to get to it, you have to drop that plastic membrane. You have to drop this to basically get access to that, and then also on this drop-down frame. So I apologize for the messy camera work. It's hard to maneuver down here and show the camera around. Okay, so let me show you what you do. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the heavy-duty silicone spray. And we're just going to lightly put a coat on the gear track, if you will. It just kind of, I don't want to say keeps it lubricated, because you really don't need to lubricate it, but it keeps it from rusting and it keeps it from getting all gunked up. So you could put grease on there. Some people put grease on there, I should say. I don't recommend the grease, because the grease just attracts dirt and debris and things like that. So that's why I like the little silicone lubricant. It really does a pretty good job of just giving it a nice coating without collecting a lot of dust and dirt and things like that. So let me show you how you apply it. So here's the gear. You can see the little teeth on there. So I just take the silicone lubricant, get that in focus there. It's a little dark under here. And I just And that's it. Now as you're spraying, you can see where the track goes inside there. Kind of move it around so you can kind of see it. I do spray a little silicone. You can kind of see some wear on the bar here. And that's on both of these slides. So I spray a little silicone up on those tracks as well. And we'll do the other side here. So that's it. Now the hydraulic ram, you don't really need to do anything in there. It kind of cleans itself on the seals, which you look right in there. And we have the seal that sits right there. So it'll kind of clean it as it's going in and out. If you're in a particular area for an extended period of time, meaning more than a few months, and it's a hot, humid area, that's why I brought the WD-40 out here. The WD-40, all you want to do is just kind of put a light coat, or you just put a little light coat on there. You don't have to go crazy. It keeps a little film of oil on it so it keeps it from rusting and things of that nature. It is made from steel and it is polished and chrome, so it shouldn't rust, but at the same time, a little WD-40 will keep it from rusting and do a little preventive maintenance. Now if you're moving every week like I do, then it's not that big of a deal. You don't need to put a coat of oil on there. So that's all the maintenance there is underneath these slides. If you have some clanking and it bumps around or things of that nature, you could have an issue with your hydraulic fluid. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and I'm going to go up underneath the rig where the reservoir is, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But let's go ahead and I'm going to go to the other side and do the same kind of maintenance over there. But again, it's very, very simple. Okay, I'm under the next slide and already started the process, and I'll just finish up the last of it. So you see the slide here, so we're just going to put a little, and then a little bit on the side where it rubs, and that's it. And that's all there is to it. It's that simple to do a little preventative maintenance. But while we're under here, I thought I'd show you a couple things on how to do additional maintenance should you need it. Now from time to time, these slides, they might need a little adjustment. Either they're out of a line, or maybe the top closes tighter than the bottom, or vice versa, or things like that. So to adjust them, it's really actually fairly simple. Let's say, for example, you've got a slide that is not going in all the way, and or going out all the way. So you're like, what's going on? Is the travel of the hydraulics not traveling enough? Well, no, it's actually very simple. So on the hydraulic ram, you see at the end of the ram, it's got two nuts basically that are on this metal bracket here. And this is really kind of hooked up to this bar that I just lubricated. And then it's got a locking nut here. So this is the ram and this is the travel. So if you've got a slide that's not going out all the way or coming in all the way, you simply unlock this nut, back it up here, and then this nut, this is a castle nut, or not a castle nut, but a threaded nylon nut that locks itself in position. And you just get a wrench on here and you adjust this so you can adjust the length of travel right here on this threaded, the length of travel right there on that threaded part of the rod. So that's all there is to adjusting the travel of your slide, whether it's not going in all the way or not going out all the way. Also, this will help you a little bit, not always, but let's say you are you're closing the slide and the top is all the way in but the bottom isn't. Well, sometimes it can be the travel of this here, but more often than not, it's going to be an adjustment on the slide in another way, and let me show you that. So behind that, where it's connecting here, you see these two bolts right there on top, and then you see a bolt on the bottom. Well, usually what happens when that is out of alignment is these bolts need to be adjusted. So what you would simply do, now I will tell you, this is a job that may require a couple people to help you out, because these slides are extremely heavy and you might need a little jack or something like that. But if you find that your slide is sagging a little bit when it's all the way out, you simply loosen these bolts right here, You adjust it with that right there. It adjusts up and down. If you can kind of get in there, you can see it's got some travel, and it goes up to a plate. Well, that will then adjust this on this ram, and the slide part right here, that'll adjust it so it goes in and aligns straight at each time. Now, when I first got this unit, the slide on the other side was not aligning correctly. So when they had to adjust it, this is exactly what they did. They loosened these up, they adjust the travel or the height of this, and tightened everything back up, and it was all aligned perfectly. That's all there is to aligning these slides. It's not a big deal. They're not very hard. It takes a jack and a couple people to help you here when you're doing it. It's very hard to do with one person. You need multiple hands. If you think this is too much for you, obviously take it to your dealer and let them take care of it. But trust me, this is something that anybody could do. It's not a hard job. And lastly, while you're under here, it's probably a good idea to check all the connections in through the frame. Is all the spray foam they put on at the factory still good? Here I've got a gas line right here that goes back to my grill. I make sure it's good. I inspect everything when I'm down here. The bracket here, this little strap where all the hydraulic lines, water lines, and power lines are on. Make sure everything is good there. None of the clips have broken. And also when I'm down under here, and we're going to talk about these hydraulic jacks here in a little bit, but go ahead and make sure you inspect all of these and there's no leaks. If you have a little oil buildup or some grease buildup around them, that means you've got a leak. Get a little wrench on there, tighten that up, clean that up, make sure there's no leaks. So let me bring up another point. So when you're under here doing all the inspections and doing the general maintenance, it is imperative that when you see or you're inspecting your hydraulic system that you don't see a leak anywhere. If you get a leak or you have a leak and you let it go for a long period of time, what's going to happen is you're going to slowly get rid of the fluid in your reservoir and in the system. When that happens, and I've seen this happen to some poor soul, you're going to put your jacks down and there's going to be no fluid or no hydraulic fluid left in the reservoir. And guess what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to level. It's going to throw all the fluid into one jack and fill it up, and then it's going to suck air, and then you'll be done. You'll never be able to retrieve those jacks until you put oil back into that reservoir to be able to allow the system to work and pump fluid back in there. Because the hydraulic system works, it's got to go in and out. If you push all the fluid into one cylinder and then there's nothing left, it's going to lock into that open position and you'll never close it again. So if you've got hydraulic slides that won't open or won't close, could be you're low on fluid. That is one of the things that I always tell people to check right away. We're going to go look at the reservoir and we'll talk more about that. But very important, if you've got a leak or you have any dirt or film or buildup around any of your fittings, you've got a leak and you got to take care of that right away. Never let your hydraulic fluid go low. Very important. Hope that's helpful. A little PSA tip for today. All right, now here I am in front of my rig, and I've opened the compartment where my hydraulic reservoir is and the batteries are and my generator, as you see here. So all of that. And by the way, I'm going to be doing a full maintenance video on generators, how to not only maintain them, but to do simple diagnostics of those if they're not working correctly and things like that. So look for that in a future video. All right, now let's talk about the hydraulic reservoir. I've turned the camera around here so you can see everything. That's my reservoir. So as you see, it's filled with a little bit of a red fluid. Now, I personally don't like what the manufacturer does here. This is filled with transmission fluid. I personally don't think that's a good idea. I understand why they do it. It's easy, it's cheap, it works okay. The problem with transmission fluid, in my opinion, it doesn't have the right lubricants mixed in with the fluid to be able to keep the seals nice and moist, as well as not only the slides but also the jacks. So, and also the viscosity of transmission fluid, it's just not thick enough in my opinion. It's more like I would say blood consistency, if I don't want to be gross, but it's really not thick enough. You really want to put a nice hydraulic fluid in here, but I am going to be changing it in the future, and I'll do a video on that. Now over there you can see there's a little splitter over there, and that basically is where the main pump, and you can control what's going out, whether it be your jack stands and or your hydraulic slides. So when you do change this fluid out, by the way, not only put hydraulic fluid in there, but you get forklift to hydraulic or fork fluid in there as well, and that's got a nice lubricant mixed in with it. It gives it a great viscosity. So that's your reservoir. Mine is half empty, but that's because all my slides are out and all my jacks are up. So if everything was back to its home position, you would notice this level would be somewhere right around here. So now let's go ahead and get into how you can control your hydraulic slides. Maybe you want to put one out and not the other because you're in a crowded parking lot or something like that. Maybe you're just maybe you're just camping in an overnight spot at a rest area or a Walmart. You don't want to open up all your slides, but you still want to get access to your kitchen or your refrigerator, things like that. So let me show you how you do that here. So if you want to control the slides independently or lock one out or anything like that of that nature, if you've got a problem with one or you got a leak in one, you just want to lock it off, let me show you how you do that. So inside my front compartment where the fuel tank is, you look up there and you see two little valves. Let's see if I can angle the camera there to get that. See those two valves there? There's one, there's two. So now it's a matter of you just turn them righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and then you turn them in the direction and it shuts the hydraulic valve off in the in that splitter I showed you a moment ago. Get back up in there in that. And it turns it off, and then you can turn off one slide or both if you need to. I don't know why you'd need to do both, just don't open them up. But if you want one or the other, you just turn that. Now one of these days I'm going to get my label maker out here and put a label on which side is which valve here is for which side. So that's all there is to it to lock that off. So let me turn that back and lock that in, and now that's ready to go. So once again, as I mentioned, I already did this, but I'm going to demonstrate it. You get the 3-in-1 rubber care conditioner for the seals. So you just spray it on and take a rag and wipe it off. And that's all there is to it. Just do that all around your slides. Don't forget the top, especially if you have an awning topper on your slide. You got to get in there and clean out and moisturize those seals. They got to stay very flexible. So a little hint when you're doing the top, I'm by myself, so it's too hard to record, otherwise I would have shown you. But what you basically do is you use a broomstick. You reach in there and you spray and you put a towel on the broomstick and you just kind of wipe the excess off with the towel and a broomstick. And that's how you can get on there when you have a slide topper. Alright, now lastly we're going to talk about your level up jacks. Again, I have the Lippert Components jack system and hydraulic system on board my unit. Most jacks will operate the same way. But what you want to do is you want to do a little maintenance on these. You don't have to do it often. I would suggest you do it if you're going to be sitting a long time, and or if you get a big heavy rainstorm and then you're sitting there for a little while and you just don't want to have dirt and debris get in the hydraulic system. So let me show you how that works. It's a very simple little maintenance. All you simply do, and mine aren't bad here, but I'm just going to demonstrate this. You take a rag and you clean off the dirt and debris and just clean that cylinder up a little bit. Then all I do is I take a little WD-40 and I go ahead and I just spray it. And then I just kind of make sure I rub that around, get that all over there, and you're done. Just put a little film on there and go around and do all of your jacks, and that keeps them clean, and it keeps the seal up at the top here a little moist as well. Now granted, there's more fluid on the top there, and as I mentioned earlier, when I'm going to change my fluid out, I'll have the fork fluid in here. That'll also help keep these moist and from drying out. But again, that's all there is, and that'll also keep them from rusting, even though these are not really made from steel, so they won't rust. Now let me tell you a little something about these jacks, which you should do when you're raising them up. As you noticed, I'll kind of tilt the camera here, set it back and tilt it. I've got it sitting on yellow blocks, lift blocks. So again, apologize for this. But this cylinder, what you should do is you should measure the length of your travel. The amount of piston that is exposed here, you should never exceed 53% or 54%, because it starts to get to the point where it's not as stable as it would be if you wouldn't have more piston up inside there. You don't want to extend these all the way up, especially not past 54-55% of its length of travel. Now, I measured these some time ago, and I think they are 28 or 30 inch length pistons. So I never let these get past the 54%, which is approximately 15 to 17 inches down here. So that's why I have the yellow jack stands on there, to make sure I'm as stable as possible with these. Now, will it work? Yes, you can extend them further. Yes, they'll work, but they're just not as stable. And also, if you extend them that far, and once in a while, you'll notice you'll get a pop or a bang and the whole coach will shake. Well, that's usually two things. It's either these are extended too far and they're not as stable, and number two, it's because of that transmission fluid that they put in there. The viscosity is just not thick enough to really hold these pistons, especially in a far length of travel. There you have it. It was, like I said, very simple, quick and easy, how to maintain your hydraulic system on your coach. Again, I have the Lippert system. Almost all systems out there are going to operate the same way. And just a little TLC, a little maintenance, a little love, and everything will keep working for a long, long time. So if you have any questions about what I showed you here today, or any comments about it, go ahead and leave your comments below. I really appreciate that. So another thing I want to talk about is my group on Facebook. I created a group on Facebook called My Bucket List Day Buddies. And the purpose of the group is to talk about RV stuff. You can go on there and you get more information about tips and tricks on how to maintain your RV. Also, my bucket list activities. We're going to talk about some of my bucket list activities and anything else you guys want to talk about. Again, this group, no restrictions. If you want to talk about anything, it's an open forum. Let's have a great discussion. Just no bullying or things like that. You want to talk politics? Fine, go talk politics. You want to talk religion? Fine, go ahead and do that. I don't care. This is an open forum. I was getting sick and tired of all the other RV groups out there that had all these content Nazis and tried to control what type of content is in there, what products you talk about, or things like that, and that's just frustrating. I'm here to build a community to help all of you that want to go RVing, whether it be full-time or part-time, fifth wheel, Class A, pop-up, I don't care. I'm here to help all of you. All the products that I've already talked about that are listed on my website here, and I'll put a link here to go to my website if you want to see all the products that I've purchased for camping and RVing and adventures and things like that. I've tested all the products out there, in and out. I've bought them, tried them, returned them. I've done a lot. So you won't find the cheapest products, you also won't find the most expensive products, but you will find the products that I've tested that work great for me, and it is a good value. Sometimes they are the least expensive, but not every time. But I think you'll appreciate the fact I've done all the research and all the work for you, so I made it easy for you. And I apologize, some of the products that I've suggested you get, because of all of you watching, you've gone to Amazon and you've ordered this stuff, that's fantastic, and they sell out. So I keep searching Amazon if there's another vendor that's going to be offering the same products. As soon as I do, I post it back on my web page, and then you guys can click the link and go right to that product. So if you see a couple gaps on my web page, it's because they discontinued or that vendor is sold out. But I'll keep working there for you guys. And then one final thought. For those of you that haven't already subscribed, go ahead and please hit that like button, subscribe, and that little bell icon to inform you when I'm releasing another video. It helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate you guys subscribing. It not only helps me with the algorithm in YouTube and get more higher ranking, if you will, it helps me because I make a couple extra dollars. I think I make another 25 cents when you guys keep liking and subscribing, so it helps the algorithm quite a bit. And I'd like to continue doing what I'm doing here and bring you all this wonderful content, but it does cost money, so all the help I can get, I'd appreciate. So that's it for now. I'm going to spend the rest of the day detailing the rig and detailing my truck. The inside of my truck looks like a bomb went off. So it's time to get that all cleaned up too. All right, thanks for watching. Make it a great bucket list day. Goodbye.